This crypto bull market has been the worst bull market ever. But that is by design because they want you to rage quit this market. So today we're going to be looking at a prediction by one of the top crypto channels out there, Crypto Banter, also known as Ran Neuner. Ran Neuner just put out this post and titled a show around it. And I want to give my take on his bear market thesis here and his lower targets for these three coins, looking at Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. This correction will end when we are all convinced that this was the end of the bull market and that it lined up exactly like the previous cycles to end in October of the post-halving year, saying the market will quit dumping when we're convinced that's the end of the bull market. Now, this is his post right here where he has, basically the 4-year cycle lined out. We replicated it right here. And Bitcoin follows a fairly predictable pattern. The top yellow lines that you see right here is the Bitcoin halving. There's a Bitcoin halving, there's a huge pump, and then there's a 1-year bear market. 1 year, close enough, 364 days here, 376 days here. So there's a 1-year bear market. We consolidate for around 500 days, and then there's a new bull run, followed by another bear market, followed by another consolidation. And then looking at this bull market, this has been the worst one ever. And so we peak in the post-halving year, December 17, go ahead and move forward 4 years minus month, November 21, and go ahead and move forward 4 years minus month, October 25. And that's because the 4-year cycle technically isn't 4 years. It's closer to 3 years, 10 months, and some change. But he is not incorrect by saying, there are going to be a lot of people just looking at these cycles and saying, all right, well, the top is in, 525 days, 548 days. It looks like it might be ending in mid-October here. But Lark Davis has a good assessment. Not sure why everyone is panicking right now. We know that September seasonality. Bitcoin dumped 18%, 24, 8%, 17%, 23%, 19%, 27%. Every single one of those Septembers was followed by a massive rally in October and November that sent Bitcoin way higher. Don't let the fear cloud your judgment. So let's zoom in on the price action. Let's look at Bitcoin, let's look at ETH, and look at Solana. Are we really going to see a $95,000 Bitcoin, $3,200 ETH, and $145 Solana? So starting with Bitcoin, let's go ahead and remove this price range and zoom in. There is something I want to show you guys on the 4-hour chart. There is something very, I would say rare that has happened with Bitcoin here. The RSI hit a severely oversold range. What we're looking at here is the relative strength index. And you can see how low it was pushed down with these 4-hour candles. And we have just developed a 4-hour bullish divergence. 4-hour bullish divergences in an oversold area like this typically leads to a huge Bitcoin bounce. And if we just go back, we kind of got close there, led to a pump, but not quite that oversold. Kind of got close there, but not as quite oversold. You can see it isn't quite hitting this teal line. And then we got to go all the way back to this point right here, where we also see 4-hour bullish divergence. You can go ahead and see right here that we essentially have created a slightly lower low, whereas the RSI was creating a higher low, and that ended up being a fantastic time to get exposure to Bitcoin. That was basically the local bottom, and it was a very bullish period. We can go ahead and measure it. It's very bullish for the next 43 days. I think it's more likely that a scenario like this is going to play out versus this was the Bitcoin top and the cycle is over. I think that we're going to see a bounce. Now, do we have some more downside potential? For sure. But to me, I think there's going to be, pretty strong support, pretty close to his target of 99,000. But I think we're going to not quite hit this range. You can see this was the support in June. And you can see it was the last resistance before we, essentially started crashing. All of this crash right here is going to be from the tariff, all the tariff wars. The markets hated that whole situation. So I would see a bounce from 99,000. I'm going to say that's close enough to his 95, 98 range. What about $3,200 Ethereum? This one I am not quite as bearish as he is. I think that we're going to find strong support in the August low. The August low, $3,400. So I would say ETH target to the downside at 3,400. Plus we have this just playing out from a classical technical analysis perspective. The way you would measure this, make sure we're on the regular, let's go to the regular chart here. This would be a potential breakdown / upside potential move. And that would give us a little bit above that 3,400 range. So we got some support there. We got some support here. And if you look, it's also a little bit of resistance right here. It's been an important level, and those are the last throws before the bear market all the way back in 2022. So this is 3,550. 3,400, I think, it's just a lot of things going to be showing support until then. So 3,400 is going to be mine. He's coming in at 3,200. I would say we're roughly in alignment here. And then 145. What are my thoughts on 145? Well, my thoughts on Solana are the same for Ethereum. I think we're going to have support from this bottom in August. This is the local low there. And the local low for the August point here, about 160, 165 range. I think that's going to be roughly the bottom for Solana if we keep correcting. And yet again, you can see this was a very important point in the past. Drawn down the horizontal line right here on this support. You can go back, you can see it acted as resistance, acted as resistance, acted as support. And if you go back to the previous cycle, there was essentially kind of three peaks, a peak here, peak there, acted as support, and semi-acted as resistance during that range as well. So I'm pretty close with Rand's targets here. I'm a little bit more bullish. I'm seeing 99K, 3,400, about 160, 165 for these three assets, folks. So that's my targets for these altcoins and Bitcoin here. Let me know where you think we might be heading if we continue to go lower. I'm seeing these oversold levels on the RSI. I know what's going on with the legislation in the future. All signs are pointing to higher, folks. So that's all. I'm Deezy for Discover Crypto. See you in your assets at the top.